Or do Iranians really want reform and a change in government? Well, to answer those questions and more is Iranian journalist Masih Alinejad, who joins us from New York. She launched My Stealthy Freedom, an online social movement fighting for Iranian women's personal choice not to wear a hijab in public. Masih, good to talk to you. The protests happened. They're over. The government took control again. So does that suggest that maybe the people don't really want regime change, but they want some change within the regime?
Listen, this time when people took the street, they were chanting against the whole regime. I was involved in, the news, daily news, receiving videos, footages from people inside Iran. This time, the demonstration, unlike 2009, was about starvation, was about frustration, was about people asking for having a better life, food, electricity, water. And these people were fed up with all the corruption. That is why, unlike 2009 election, when people were just chanting where my vote is, they were asking for some change. But this time, I'm hearing that people, from the first time, the slogan were really radical, and people were asking all the clerics must be gone. Right. They were chanting against the dictatorship. Yeah,
but that tends to happen everywhere, right? I mean, I don't want to sort of try and pour cold water over this, but even, for example, at the Occupy Wall Street protest, while people might have been angry at economic issues, you would find a big group of people there saying, hey, the United States is a fascist country, we are a terrible dictatorship, and so on. You're going to find these sorts of things. But looking at the trigger of these particular protests, 12% inflation, 40% youth unemployment, it seemed as if the economy was at the heart of all of this.
Let me interrupt you.
Okay.
You compare. Let me interrupt you. You compare the demonstrations in Iran with the Wall Street Journal. You know, people were gathering here peacefully. How many people died here in the United States of America?
So,
I'm going to tell you that.
So I think you misread my analogy.
In Iran.
Okay, so fair enough.
There were more than 1,000 people were in prison. Right now in prison, more than 20 people got killed. And just today, I'm going to share a news about Sina Qambari, a 23-year-old man who has died in prison under suspicious circumstances. We cannot compare this to what's going on in New York. Of course, people are unhappy everywhere, but in Iran, when you're unhappy, you're going to get shot or into prison or beaten to death.
So let me then try and address this again with you. Again, I think you misread my analogy. I'm not saying it's exactly the same as the United States. And well, according to the best available analysis, the United States has a healthier democracy than Iran's system. But what I'm saying again, maybe it was mostly about the economy. And undoubtedly, you're going to have people, just like in other protests around the world, who are going to be saying bigger things because they're angry about the economy, about inflation, about lack of jobs, and so on. But just because a bunch of people are saying bigger things and angry at the regime doesn't necessarily mean it's a revolution, or is it maybe something that can be addressed economically?
Let me give you a better picture of what's going on in Iran. After 2009 election, that demonstration was about, that demonstration, obviously everyone around the world knows that it was about the election, yeah? In that time, not the West, not the, President of United States, Obama, they do nothing. They didn't support the demonstrations. But still, two presidential challengers, Mousavi and Karoubi, they are the main pillars of the, revolution in Iran. They are under house arrest, being labeled that the demonstration 2009 was organized and supported by the West without they supporting the people, the Green Movement in Iran.
Okay, but that was 2009.
Now,
yes.
What's going on in Iran? It's not about economic. It's not just about economic, because from the first day, you didn't hear any slogan about, the price of egg, but the main slogan was about the dictatorship, about, people wanted a greater freedom. People didn't want the clerics to be in power or sending their money to Gaza, Lebanon, Syria. And then people are suffering from, of course, poverty. But the thing is, for months and months, I have been covering the news of those people who took the street peacefully and gathering, in front of the parliament, teachers, workers, miners, women rights activists. So they were asking for a better life and greater freedom. What happened to them? They were all oppressed. Teachers are in prison right now. Bus driver are in prison right now. Workers, miners got lashes. Those women who condemned acid attack, they are in prison.
Right.
Those people who thrown acid on women's face, they are free. So you cannot say that this is just about the economy. It's about the corruption. It's about the government who do not believe in freedom and who want to oppress and kill those people who peacefully protest and who peacefully want to express themselves. That is why this time, when people took the street, they were chanting about the corruption and democracy, economy and political freedom and personal freedom as well.
Understood. In 2009, because there was the belief from those who were aggrieved and those on the streets that the election was stolen from him, Mir Hussein Musavi was the face of the protests and the Green Movement. This time there's no face. Has that hurt the protest movement that there hasn't really been a kind of a person to rally behind? There hasn't really been a leadership when it comes to what happened across these 80 towns and cities?
This is a good question. Listen, you mentioned that Musavi was the face of protest in 2009. So what happened to that movement? They killed and oppressed everybody. So it doesn't matter where there is somebody who is leading the protest, or it's about the people who took the street and they leading the protest themselves. I'm going to tell you what happened this time. This time, women were fearless. Why? Because they were, working class women. They lost everything in their life. They've been beaten up by, the security forces, not in these demonstrations. Months ago, when they lost their saving, when they lost their, they haven't been paid their salaries for months, and they were asking their government, their MPs in front of the parliament, all of them were beaten up. So now they are fearless in front of the camera. They don't need Musavi and Karoubi. They are the leader. They talk really loud. And it was a bunch of security forces in front of a woman, a working class woman. And she was saying that, I don't have any fear. And she was inviting all the people to join her to say, death to Khamenei.
Masih Alinejad, it's always a pleasure having you on the Newsmakers. I thank you very much for joining us. And that's all for this edition of the Newsmakers with me, Imran Garda. You can check out more